Welcome to our July office hours with Adapt to Impact. Hopefully, you've been enjoying and making good use of maybe some of the resources we've been sending out all month that relate to outdoor play and taking advantage of the sun and the summer. Today, however, we're going to kind of dig in and drill down a little bit on specifically communication. I think this tends to be always a hot topic when kids are challenged by speech and language and communication. Like there can be all kinds of fallout around that. And so it's always nice sometimes to spend just a little bit more time in depth talking about how to support communication. Um, Camille, have you been to our office hours in the past?
Yeah, I've been to one.
Okay, great. Well, welcome back. For anybody who might see this recording who's not joined us before, Adapt to Impact is a collaboration between the Colorado Department of Education and the Colorado Department of Early Childhood and Early Intervention and the University of Colorado. And our mission, our vision, our goals are really just to support you, the childcare providers, when you have children with delays and disabilities in your care, to be a resource to you. And part of that is some structured online professional development, a whole host of resources and supports that are coming to you weekly, and then also a loan library of adaptive equipment and toys. And we're going to kind of circle back around to that in just a minute. This is our Adapt to Impact team here at the university. Maureen, Krista, and myself are all speech language pathologists. And then we have the great benefit of having Mariah on our team, who is an early childhood special educator. You may have also had some communication and interactions with Mar. She's our loan library administrator. She's keeping everything rolling and circulating across the state. Jackie is our communication specialist. You're probably receiving a lot of emails from Jackie. She's also managing our social media. And Elijah is our computer science guy, and he is keeping our loan library running from the back end and making sure everything is efficient and easy for everybody. But enough about us. We really want to learn more about the individuals who are taking advantage of this great program. So, Camille, could I ask you to maybe give us a little information on your role and what you're doing as you're providing care to children? And then tell us a little bit about why you made the time to come here today. What is your motivation?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I am part of the Early Childhood Council. So we kind of work as a resource for schools, families, and children. We've shared your resources before, so I thought I would kind of tune in to kind of pretty new to joining these, so I just kind of wanted to sit back and see what kind of examples you have to give and be able to share the your resources with other providers.
Great, wonderful. Oh, what a great way to like spread the word and advocate and create a little outreach. Thank you for coming. Okay, so I thought I would start with this first question. When you think about children as they're getting ready to go outside and you make this announcement, hey, everybody, it's time to go out. Like, how do children feel as they know they're getting ready to go outside, as they bust through that door and run to the playground? Like, what are some of those feelings? What's happening with kids as that's going on? Mariah, you can jump in too. Got an audience of two.
Yes, yeah. I was thinking about my own children and when it's time to go outside. I mean, both of my children are sensory seekers and love what outdoors can do for their little bodies, and their nervous systems. So they're pumped. I mean, they get so excited and they go really quickly. I think about some of the students I've had, and some of them have really struggled with transitions outside. But I think almost all of them, actually all of the kids I've worked with have enjoyed outside time. Not always the sensory piece. Like there's some students I've worked with who really didn't like certain sensory things like touching water or sand. Um, but every child I've worked with has really benefited from being outside.
Yeah, when I used to have my own childcare center, it was always such a point of excitement. I think most kids, get really excited and, as they hit the outdoor play space, there's just always, it feels like a sense of happiness and joy. And I got to thinking about this, and we know that, when kids have the ability to choose what they're doing, right? They have a greater sense of autonomy, and then they become a little more engaged, right? So outdoor playtime is usually this opportunity to choose what you're going to do, right? It's a little less structured very often. It's a time to bust outside and burn off the energy, and they can kind of choose what they're going to do outside. And so it seemed logical to me then that probably, creates a sense of engagement for kids. They also tend to get all of their senses involved. Like you said, they're sensory seekers, your kids. And so, they're smelling, they're seeing, they're hearing, they're feeling, and they're moving their bodies. And how engaged are kids, when they go outside and they have everything about them, working towards play, right? And we know when kids are engaged, they're learning. There's also research out there that says when kids are experiencing joy, they tend to learn really well. And so between all this multisensory engagement from a sense of autonomy, and just the experience of excitement and joy, right? It just feels like they're so primed to learn. Like it's just a great opportunity to capitalize on learning. So when I think about, as a speech language pathologist, what the opportunities are, well, the opportunity to play with them or play alongside them and model speech and language and communication, again, they're primed to learn in this environment. And how fun is it to very strategically think about all the verbs? Okay, this is a geeky speech language therapist thing. I get excited about all the different verbs that I can model and expose kids to as they're playing outside. The prepositions, again, I'm a speech therapist. I can't help myself, but I love prepositions, the concepts of prepositions, in, out, up, down, under, over, between, like all these really great words and concepts that the kids, like that outdoor play space is just perfect for learning. And then I was thinking about the social skills too, right? Like opportunities to share and take turns. I was also thinking about empathy, teaching kids words and language around empathy, because inevitably, right, somebody's going to fall down playing outside. Fingers get pinched or bubbles pop in people's faces. And, it's an opportunity to use words like, oh no, and oh, you're sad, and ouch, that hurts, and let me help, right? All these great little opportunities to teach empathy and all the language that goes with it. So if we were going to together think about, strategically modeling and teaching different kinds of words or concepts related to swings, let's say, what could some of those words be? and maybe just in the chat or if you want to unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Please,
great. Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead, Camille.
Stuff like sit, swing, back, forth, up, you know, comes to mind. That's usually
On, off,
on, off. Yeah.
Yeah, those
push.
are great ones. I love push and more. Like, I mean, I think about preschoolers and toddlers, they can't pump their little legs yet. And that is always something that comes up when you are putting little ones on swings. They're asking for a push. And so, even using for kids who are nonverbal, like to teach them, like, sign for push or more push, or just more if you're working on one word at a time. But, like, using a single word or putting two together, more push, or all done to get off the swing. But it's such a powerful tool, and it's fun.
Yeah, I was even thinking like my turn, your turn.
Mhm. Or
Um,
wait for a turn.
wait. Oh, such a great word to have to learn, right? Wait. Or please, even. Yeah. Let me help.
Mhm.
Love that. Okay, how about riding toys?
Think about go, stop.
Yeah.
Beep, beep.
Yeah, beep, beep. That's a great one. Camille making sounds.
You know, that's a speech therapist thing, right? We love making environmental noises with kids. It's so good for them. So beep beep and vroom vroom and "erk" and woo.
Ambulance noise. How fun.
Yeah.
Somebody falls down or crashes.
For kids who are really struggling with their speech intelligibility, who, are hard to understand, being able to participate in all of the activities with environmental noises can be a great way to get them involved. I love that, Camille. Good call. Okay, how about maybe a water table?
Water table is such a good opportunity. What do you think, Camille?
Yeah, I mean that's always one of my fun ones, swish, splash, sink, float. It depends on what you have in there, but splash is always fun or
That's a good
Yeah.
one. I think have always had littles who like to dump water out of the water table. So you have dump or yeah, splash, spill, oops, uh-oh.
all way.
Um,
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Yeah. I want.
Mhm.
Yeah. So much to do there. And the whole time they're just having such a blast. Like it's unusual, right? We spend the whole, I don't know, 9 months out of the year inside. And so now we're at, a water table. How special is that? Because it only happens during a small window of the school year.
And there's so many things you can add to them too. I mean, you can add things that float or bubbles, or I liked to add measuring cups too, because it checks a box for early science skills too, of like half and whole, and but also the fine motor skills of pouring and scooping and um, anyway, there's such great tools.
I was thinking just now as you were talking, empty and full.
Hmm.
Great words at the water table. Okay, so I thought I would just offer up a few simple strategies as we are modeling and encouraging speech, language, and communication outside. Some simple things that we can do is be aware of how long our sentences and phrases are, because if we can get those sentences and phrases down to 3 or 4 words, for, our kids who are struggling with comprehension, with understanding what people are saying, having just 3 words is a lot easier than, okay, everybody, it's time to clean up and get ready to go inside. if you can get it down to time to go, and then wait, we're going inside, right? So short, simple phrases, and then putting in those real strategic pauses and wait time. Because if they're working on translating, maybe they're English language learners, or they're just struggling with receptive language. If we give them just a little bit more time to process what was said rather than, jump back in there because something didn't happen right away. So we say, okay, everybody, it's time to clean up and get ready to go inside. Come on, everybody, it's time to go inside. I can still see some balls on the yard. And, we're just layering on more and more language, and they're still trying to process the first thing that was said. So really simple strategies that you can take with you everywhere all the time, keeping things a little shorter and simpler, and then always adding in those strategic pauses and wait time. The other thing we can do is offer lots of visuals, because there are lots of kids out there who benefit from having like that multi-sensory language input, right? So if we can speak something and say something, it's auditory, but then also represented in a picture. Now they're using visual processing and visual comprehension of what's going on, and they can fill in the blanks and add context. So anytime we can add visuals by pointing, gesturing, adding movement, and our communication boards, all great ways to bump up that comprehension. And if we model a picture communication board, a word on a board, and we use that picture as we're speaking, then it says it's okay to a child who's struggling to also point to that picture communication symbol. So Camille, what kinds of strategies, well, maybe the people that you work with most often are using to support communication outside?
Timers, I know picture schedule's always been my favorite in the classroom. Um, Whistles, time to go in, and then always it takes a warning. Nobody really wants to go inside especially if there's a water table involved.
Yep.
But just having that routine. But I'm seeing on the screen here, how much laminating I did when I could have just used a Ziploc baggie and put it in the stand. That's wonderful. So, uh,
I
yeah,
know that's
sight, sounds, and visual cues are, and having that routine of expectations kind of is something. But I know it's challenging as weather changes, if it's been cold for a few days and you don't have that outside time, then that's always kind of a challenge too. So trying to find that ways to have some sort of activity indoors too is always kind of got to be a little creative with. But yeah, picture schedules, I say, is probably one of the most popular ones.
Yeah, so easy, and you can incorporate it into so many different routines throughout the day. And you never know who's benefiting in terms of comprehension and understanding, and or feeling some confidence around being able to use some of those supports themselves if they're having trouble with verbal speech. So here is just a little scenario that we kind of put together. If you have a 5-year-old who maybe is really struggling with speech intelligibility, maybe a child who only has a few words that are readily recognizable, and maybe they're using an iPad with picture symbols to communicate, but probably experiencing frustration, right? Isn't that one of the things that is precursor to behaviors, right? When kids struggle to communicate and they become frustrated, and then the next thing you know, we've got some behaviors that are disruptive to them and others. Um, but if we're using an iPad with picture symbols and that's working for them, that's great, but it may not be something you want to take to the water table or even into a sandbox, right? Like there's going to have to be other solutions. So, how can we adapt playtime at a sandbox or a water table? Or maybe it's even in the car or during transportation when that iPad, it doesn't make sense always to have it out and available. Maybe it's during hippotherapy, right? Like, what are some other ways that we can support communication that doesn't necessarily involve something electronic? So here were just a few fun examples that we had in our back pocket and or that I found online. Um, this is a great little solution in a 2-liter bottle. Like you talked about all the laminating that you've done in your life, right? We do a lot of laminating. But if we could just print it off and you kept a 2-liter bottle, soda bottle, you could let it unravel a little bit inside a 2-liter bottle. It would float and hopefully stay dry. I loved this idea of attaching a communication board to a picnic basket or a beach basket. And really, what other things could we attach it to on a playground in an outdoor environment? And then the communication cards are great because you could select those target words, the words that we know kids might use and need on the playground, put them on a keychain, and then maybe it could go to a belt loop or on the swing itself, or what else?
Yeah, I love the idea of attaching them to the environment that they're going to be in. I think about how many pieces or like the strain on a teacher or a childcare provider to just the transition of like, okay, I need to get 5 little kids outside and they all need shoes on and they might need sunscreen. And so sometimes carrying things with them is not the top priority. So when you stick things on the item, like if you have a water table, you can like we said, like put your images in a Ziploc and tape it to your water table. So it's already there. If you know, the word's already there. Or even on a tricycle, you could tape, use masking tape to make it weatherproof and it could say stop, go, all done, you know, little, but sticking them in the environment you use them. Or one of my children struggles with language processing. Like she gets lost if I use too many words. And so following directions is really hard. But on the way out the door, it's so hard to say, okay, I need, you know, all of these supplies, a water bottle and snacks and all these things to get outside or on the way. And I taped visuals to our door of like, what do you need to go? Socks, shoes, coat. And so I wouldn't even have to use words. I could point to them to remind her. And those images were so powerful. Even though she's a verbal child, understanding language was so much harder. And to have that in the environment that I needed it was so helpful. It took less strain on me, but also gave her words and helped her understand. But yeah, you can put them on the playground door or on a picnic table if you have a picnic table outside, so they're ready and accessible all the time.
Yeah, so many great examples, Mariah.
Well, worked with a lot of speech pathologists, Chris. They've helped me out a lot.
Any other ideas, Camille?
Yeah, I love the handheld. I mean, it is so hard to, like you were saying, with the shoes and getting everything out the door. And I'm a klutz, so I always get nervous holding a tablet or being responsible for that. But I love the little keychain. It's something that you could hold on your finger and walk out with. It'd be great if like I don't know if what the other pictures are, but even like maybe emotions, like having like some of those pictures to, kind of describe how you're feeling too, because outdoor play is usually child-led and there's always areas for some conflicts and and that could be, you know, a good skill to have to describe how you're feeling. The water bottle's really cool, but I could see how, that could definitely be easy to do, but having something in the environment it would be great too, which that would be awesome to have even on. I know teachers usually have like a binder on them, like an emergency binder, maybe even using like the plastic cover on the outside, and then they could point, use what they already have to, or whatever they have to carry in their bag to maybe put something that they are already have attached to them that they carry with them.
Yeah. I know in the public schools, I've seen teachers wear these picture communication cards on their lanyards.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I know that not everybody has quick, ready access to creating communication boards. So I went ahead and I put this communication board together and realizing that, maybe these don't represent the toys in your environment very well, or there are other words that are more important to you and the children that you're working with. You could easily print this off and then print off some other pictures and just tape them down right on top or glue them down right on top. Or if you're tech savvy, lay down some snips right on top. But maybe it's just a good place to get started thinking about a communication board that might go outside that might be helpful in a sand pit or a sand table or a water table. This particular communication board, I went ahead and added to the Adapt to Impact Technical Assistance Resource Directory. And so this QR code will take you right to the directory. But I'm going to go ahead and try and bring it up. Fingers crossed. My screen changes. Do you all see this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yay, woot, it worked. This is our technical assistance directory. So, all of the documents that went into the online Moodle courses and the documents that are being sent out weekly as technical assistance are represented here on this directory, and everything is linked. So, this sand and water play communication board is right here. And if I click on it, it will take me right to it where anybody can then download and use the board. Okay, now, how do I get back? Oh, there we go. All right. Any other real life scenarios or circumstances or situations, successes, challenges that anybody would want to share? This is the opportunity to capitalize on the wisdom of many, although it's just 3 at the moment. All right. Probably doesn't work with 3, so I'm going to keep going.
Well, I love what you've shared with so far, so I'll definitely share that. And I'm excited to see some success stories come through on those resources. And, I'm a big fan of the visuals, so thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And again, if it doesn't work for somebody, I am more than happy to go in and tweak it as well and help people get to a situation with a visual that really works for them.
You know what, Chris? I was just thinking last month during office hours, several providers mentioned having mud tables outside, like or a mud kitchen to play in. I was
Nice.
thinking how awesome it would be to have washable communication tools like taped to that mud kitchen. Anyway, so that would be a great use for the board you created, just to be able to print it, laminate it, or even skip laminating and put it in a Ziploc and masking tape that to a little mud kitchen.
Yeah. Oh, that is so fun. I've never heard of a mud kitchen. That's awesome. I love that.
Well, if you want inspiration, Pinterest has so many preseated
Wow.
mud kitchens. They're very fun.
I love that. All right. Well, I said that I would circle back around to the Loan Library. We do have a lot of great communication devices and equipment and supports in the library. So I thought I'd just highlight a few here. We have a GoTalk 20, we have the Talking Bricks, we have the step-by-step sequencer, as well as little collections and kits of materials and equipment that were selected to support children who have speech, language, and communication delays and disabilities. And the best way to get access to the library is to complete that Introduction to Universal Design Moodle course. Once you've completed that course, you'll immediately get some limited access to the library. And if you complete just one other course, one part of the Adapting for Disability series. So we have in that series, communication and early literacy, behavior and cognition, fine motor, gross motor, and hearing and vision. So should be something in there for everybody. Once you complete that second training, though, then you have full access to everything in the library. And right now, we're running for a limited time an incentive to get started using that library. So for first-time users, in addition to anything that you might request to borrow, we're also going to send you a free Stay Put mat that is yours to keep. It's this great little tool that allows you to slip a piece of paper in under a frame. It comes down, it's magnetic, it holds that paper in place. It's great for kids who may be struggling to use two hands at the same time. So it's a nice little piece of equipment. If you're having any trouble at all getting into the library, accessing the library, finding things that you might like to borrow, we are here for you. Give us a call and we will talk you through it. We can get on Zoom and we can screen share and make sure that you have the support that you need and all the information to make really good use of that library. And here's just a list of all those Moodle courses that are currently available through Adapt to Impact. They can be found in the PDIS, and everyone who completes these trainings who have a PDIS account get PDIS credit for having completed them. And then just a final reminder, don't forget we have that technical assistance, Adapt to Impact technical assistance Google folder with all those great resources. We hope you'll jump on and kind of explore and open things up and find documents that you might use for yourself or share with staff or maybe share with family members. And here at the end of our office hours is just a little information on how to get hold of us. And that is our day. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So anybody has access to the resource library, but they do have to log in and then complete a course or
No, the
oh,
resources folder, as long as you have the link, you can go in and peruse those resources and pull them down.
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you
Camila,
bet.
are you talking about like the paper resources and the handouts we send out are in that Google folder, but the loan library we have where we have adaptive toys and equipment that they can check out for free, they do need to take um, at least that adapted or that first course, the Introduction to Universal Design Moodle course.
Okay, so that's for the materials, the
Mhm.
The
limited. Okay,
library.
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
Well,
how long is can you check something out?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Thank
And
you.
we use the interlibrary loan system. So when you make a request and it's maybe you're a little further out than the metro area, so driving in to pick something up might be difficult. We can use the library courier system to send those items to your local public library.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other last thoughts, questions, comments? Something unrelated?
Yeah, I did use an outside activity pamphlet that you had that I shared with a provider. So some great stuff. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, you bet.
that's great to hear. Thank you, Camille. I'm so grateful you're here and um, share our info. We'd love to have more providers come. We have tons of resources and so many more in the works too. Our topic for next month is back to school, and we'd love to support providers on whatever rituals and routines or separating with caregivers or anything they need to help that transition go well.